what's up again there, guys? Brian, the Three Topics Gamer here to bring you another episode of my weekly Q&A show, Top People's Questions, where I answer all the majority of the questions that were sent to me over the past week. This time we got a much shorter episode in terms of questions. Most of these they didn't really stand out too much except for the last one, which I'll save for last. But like always, if you know you sent in a question in the comment section of the last video, be sure to check your notifications or be sure to check the comment section of that video, because chances are I answered them there if you don't hear them in this video. Starting off with the first question coming from Yao Yang Yak. I don't even know how to say this one, so I'll just post it right here. And you basically asked, do I think it makes sense that Dooku joined Sidious after Qui-Gon was killed, when it was Sidious that trained the guy that killed him? I don't think Dooku knew at the time that Sidious had trained Maul. I'm not sure exactly what the details were, but I'm guessing nobody knew where Maul came from. The only ones who knew were Sidious and Plagueis. Dooku didn't know that. So as far as Dooku was concerned, Maul was just some Sith who came out of nowhere and killed Qui-Gon, and I'm guessing Sidious tried to warn them that, maybe this Sith guy was around, but no one would listen. And then when Qui-Gon was killed, well, Dooku felt, he was just switching sides. Only to find, sadly he couldn't get his revenge because, Obi-Wan Kenobi cut them all down months later. But yeah, I'm fairly certain Dooku never found out that it was Sidious who was responsible for Qui-Gon's death. I think had he known that, things might have been a little bit different. So yeah. Next question comes from Shadow Decis Gaming. You want to know, do I think that the Marvel fans are hypocritical that they complain how overpowered and boring Superman is, but look at Doctor Doom? I don't even know exactly how powerful Doctor Doom is. So, the only thing I've ever seen about Doctor Doom was from that Death Battle video, and I don't even remember what his powers were, but I guess he just had all these powers, I guess. So, I'm not sure if we can call them hypocritical, because even Marvel fanboys don't even know their own lore as well as they think they do. Most of their lore comes from the live-action films. That's the extent of their knowledge. So I don't really even call them real Marvel fans, because their knowledge is limited to the movies, just like Star Wars. So yeah, when you say Marvel fans, I would be a little bit more precise. You should use the term movie-centric Marvel fans, because most of them probably have never picked up a comic book in their life, and they never will. So I guess it's not unfair to call them hypocritical, because even they don't know how powerful Doctor Doom is. So yeah. Next question comes from Phantom Sis. You want to know, who do I consider to be the greatest Metal Gear Solid villain in the entire franchise, and why? This one's a little bit hard, because when you really look down the line, there really aren't many actual villains. Let's go down the list. We know the boss is not a villain. We know technically Ocelot was not really a villain. Even though he did some horrible things, he technically was still doing what he did for Big Boss. We know Big Boss certainly wasn't a villain. We know Liquid, in a sense, was not a villain. We know Solidus was not really a villain. You see, that's the thing about Metal Gear Solid and villains. It's that Metal Gear has an amazing way of giving you a idea of what this character was, and presenting them as like a really awful person, but when they die, they kind of tell you their life story, and then you don't really, you feel kind of bad for them. Like, you kind of feel bad for, Psycho Mantis. You feel bad for Sniper Wolf. You feel bad for Vulcan Raven. You feel bad for Fortune. You even feel bad for Vamp, and he killed I think a 13-year-old teenage girl, and I felt bad. I think the only character that comes to mind that was a definitive villain was probably Colonel Volgin, and even that is questionable in some sense if you do a little bit more digging. I kind of refrain from doing digging on him, because just the fact that the guy was probably homosexual and obviously a sadist and was clearly insane. He seems like the only general villain that comes to mind. Everybody else throughout the majority of the Metal Gear Solid franchise that has been presented as a villain at first has had justifiable reasons for doing the things that they did, even though they were questionable. You know, when you take a step back and look at their life through their eyes, you kind of feel a little bit bad for them. So, almost by default, I probably would have to go with Volgin in a sense. So, that's my choice. Oh boy. Okay, I'm about to hit into rage mode, so you better buckle up, boys and girls. Last question of the episode comes from All-Star Gamer Punk. And you want to know, since you know that I don't like Wonder Woman, if given a chance, which DC hero would I replace her with in the Trinity? And what reasons behind the replacement? And it doesn't have to be a heroine. Okay, let's get this fact straight. Wonder Woman is a fucking cunt. Okay? She is a cunt. She is the definition of the word cunt. If you look at the dictionary, you see Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman embodies absolutely everything I hate in female heroines. In fact, she embodies everything I hate in the entire species of women on this planet. And the fact that people hold her to such high standards completely sickens me. I can't think of another fictional woman in all of fiction that I hate more than Wonder Woman. If I had an opportunity to bitch slap Wonder Woman over and over and over again, you're damn right I would do it. Now, in terms of her replacement, I have the perfect replacement for her. Instead of taking this bitch, getting this bitch away from these great men and Batman and Superman, in which every time this bitch shows up, things just get worse. They don't get better, they get worse. I will replace her ass with Green Lantern. Green Lantern is a much better fit than Wonder Woman. The old saying remains true, that your hero is only as good as your greatest villain, or maybe even your worst villain, and I don't think anyone would question that. Green Lantern, specifically Hal Jordan, we'll keep it simple, we'll go over the first standard Green Lantern. Hal Jordan had a much better Rose Gallery of villains than Wonder Woman ever did. Went through much more trials, has much more better interesting storylines, heck, has much more better ideas that I would like to see be translated to the big screen than this cunt, Wonder Woman. So, that is why I would pick Green Lantern. And besides, green is my favorite color. And I think in the color palette, I think it kind of is interesting that, you know, I would represent Batman for blue, Superman for red, and Green Lantern for green, obviously. And, yeah, that's who I would pick. That's if Marvel's Trinity is technically Iron Man, Thor, Captain America, then DC's Trinity should be Batman, Superman, and Green Lantern. That's who I think the Trinity should be. And with that, that is going to be the end of this episode of People's Questions. I would like to thank the four of you and everyone else that sent you your questions, whether I answered them here in this video or in the comment section of the last video. If you have any more questions you'd like me to answer in next week's episode, be sure to type them in the comments down below. We'll make sure you get them into me roughly around noon on Wednesday before I start filming the next episode. And if you want to increase your chances of having them in the video, instead of me just answering them in the comment section down below, just make sure they have a little bit more depth, or have them be creative questions or just questions that are a little bit more out there. I think the more challenging, the better. So with that out of the way, I would like to thank all of you guys for watching. You're awesome, and I will see you next time.